today. Let's go. Bring it up, baby. Let's go. Daddy, go, big daddy. What is good? 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 How is everybody feeling? How is everybody doing? How is everybody feeling? It is Friday. Happy Friday to everybody in the chat. Happy Friday. You didn't made it through another week. You got 2 days, and then we back to it, man. That's the grind. That's how we do it, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat already. We got Tavio in the building, was popping. Raider Way, Autumn Win, Blue King Swin, Mr. Raider, BB was popping. Mr. Raider was good. XO, Brian, Jaime, Omar was popping. Vehicle in the building. Kenny was popping. My brother SVT, Antoine, the Autumn. We got everybody in the building. Julio, Coolio, Autumn, Anthony, Kenny again. My brother. GC, Bam Bad. What's good with everybody in here, man? Listen, the Raiders, it wasn't a snooze fest today, man. It wasn't a snooze fest. We brought in a new face. We brought back one of our own, and I'm happy, man. I am happy. We got something to talk about, and we brought back a person at a position of need, and we acquired a backup quarterback. I'm all for it, man. So shout out to everybody who's in here watching. We got Rod just pulled up, Ben Bad just pulled up, Cash Lord was good. Salute Nation. I thought that Cash Lord was off the rip gonna say that Nick Mullins was gonna start over DC, but shout out to Cash Lord for pulling up tonight. We got James in the building. So look, you guys, simple as this. I'm going to start off with the backup quarterback. Arturo was popping. We got Kale. I am the Bay. Everybody's pulling in right now. But look, let's start off with the backup quarterback, and that is a position of need. That was a position of need, I should say, right? Because we had what's his name, Gilbert or something like that. You know, homie was with the Commanders, and he had a little stint with the Cowgirls, right? But at the end of the day, he's nothing more than a third string quarterback, right? He's nothing more than a third string quarterback. So today we brought in a player that we know pretty well, right? We played him this last season when we went to Cleveland in the bowl. We went when we played Nick, right? Baker Mayfield was out. And then we had also played him back in 2018, right? A lot of us were very, very much hurt that day. This man was over there putting up some insane numbers. But let me tell you this. One thing that I always say when it comes down to these backup quarterbacks that I always want to preach. You don't want a guy that's just on the roster and can't win games if it comes down to it. This man can win you games. He's played multiple games for the 49ers, and I understand the 49ers had a better roster than most teams with the backup quarterback scenario, but he's won games in his career, right? He was pretty close to beating us this season. So we brought in a good backup. I do think that he will be our backup. I think that he'll easily beat out Gilbert. And at the end of the day, you're not getting a guy that's a rookie, right? Like we were possibly maybe going to go look into maybe drafting a rookie to be our backup. He's not a rookie. He's played against multiple NFL defenses. He understands the NFL aspect of playing quarterback, right? You know, a lot of these guys go from college, try and make that transition, and it never really happens. With Nick Mullins, you bring in a guy who's played in many games in the NFL, has won a good amount of games in the NFL for a backup, and at the end of the day, if need be, he can come in and win 2, maybe 3 games, depending on how long your starter is out. So definitely a good pickup with bringing in Nick Mullins to be our backup quarterback. I do understand that in the last couple years, recently he's been with the Eagles and the Niners, I believe, are the last teams that he was with. So that's pretty interesting. Really quick, I'm going to tell you guys this. Nick Mullins, 27 years old. He's appeared in 20 games, starting 17, in which he's completed 407 of 630 pass attempts for 4,861 yards, 26 touchdowns to 22 interceptions. Definitely a guy that you can bring in and allow to compete for the backup role. In my opinion, unless we add another quarterback to this room, I definitely think that he will beat out Gilbert for that backup role to back up DC heading into this season. So, at the end of the day, we didn't have too much money to work with. So I understand a lot of us may want these bigger names that are still out on the market. But at the moment, we didn't have too much. I believe just yesterday we had 6.7 million. The number is probably significantly lower now. We're probably closer to around 2 million because we went out and we brought back a familiar face. We brought back one of our own, Jonathan Hankins, man. Jonathan Hankins is back, also known as Big Time Hank on IG. So shout out to Jonathan Hankins, right? Will be his fifth season. His fifth season with the Las Vegas Raiders now. So definitely familiar with the guys on the roster. With the new coaching staff, he even has some familiarity with the coaching staff, right? Back in for those of you guys who don't know, he played with New York. And as we all know, Patrick Graham, I believe they had one season together. With Jonathan Hankins and Patrick Graham. And when you look at his numbers when he was in New York, he was a pretty damn overall productive defensive tackle. And with the Raiders, he's been pretty productive as well. But a game that you've never really been able to get out from a guy like Jonathan Hankins here with the Raiders is a sack, right? He's definitely gotten sacks with Patrick Graham's defense. Not saying that he will, but if you're going to get a player that is a run stopper that can get after the quarterback, and you want to put him in a system that he can get after the quarterback, it'll probably be with this one. Now, one thing I will say, when he was in New York in the year that him and Patrick Graham crossed paths in terms of Jonathan Hankins and our new defensive coordinator, they didn't cross paths as defensive coordinator and defensive tackle. At the time, I believe that Patrick Graham was the linebackers coach / defensive line coach for New York at the time. So we'll see, right? Because when he was with New York, they were playing a 4-3. They were not playing a 3-4, as we know. 3-4 is kind of Patrick Graham's base. We know that he's extremely multiple and changes it up week to week. But one thing I will say, Jonathan Hankins has never played in the 3-4 system. Even when he was with New York a couple years ago, he never played in the 3-4 system. When he was in Indianapolis for 1 year, he didn't play in the 3-4 system. So I'm definitely interested to see how we use him. Overall, he is a nose tackle, so you can put him head up on the center and make him play that nose, make him play that zero technique. And I'm not too sure how much of a drop-off he'd have. I don't think he'd have much. And something that we got to remember, right, with coming at the last end of the season, he was dealing with some injuries, right? He was trying to battle back, get on the field as quick as possible because we were trying to make a run for the playoffs, right? So who knows how healthy he was in that last stretch of the season, right? Because he definitely did have a drop of production at the end of the season. I'm not sure if it's because of injury or what it is necessarily, but to see Jonathan Hankins back, a guy that we know can play for sure, right? It's not something that's an up in the air player. So I'm glad that we were able to go out and bring a backup quarterback and in the same day re-sign one of our own, something that we haven't really been doing too often. And it's pretty much because we have a new staff. So there's that. Very, very excited about that. Now, let me get into some of your guys' comments. He says, Andy, do you see any wide receiver in the draft that we can pick up that can take over Hunter Renfrow on special teams? Hunter is too important for us this year. James, actually, something to remember, you guys, is that with the acquisition of Amir Abdullah, he's a guy that probably will be our primary kick return / punt return specialist guy. You also, if need be, you have Kenyon Drake on the roster. At the same time, we signed Darius Phillips, who is a corner, but he does have some pretty good numbers when it comes to kick returning and punt returning. So do I think that anybody in the draft can take over that role for Hunter Renfrow? Yes, but at the same time, you have to look at a guy that's already on our practice squad, like DJ Turner out of Pitt, right? He put up some productive numbers, and I think that DJ Turner, if you want a guy that could just punt return, you could bring him up on the roster on game days. Definitely interesting to see that. Now, let's see. Shane Morris is saying that Nick Mullens is a good backup on a cheap deal. I don't know the contract details of Nick Mullens, but what I do know is that Jonathan Hankins' contract is only a 1-year deal. So we're only bringing him back for one more season. And I do think it's because of age and Not because he's not a good player, but I do think that age is playing a factor in this one, on this one year deal. Perfect deal, only $1 million guaranteed. Perfect. I like to see that, Shane. What's your thoughts on Max Mitchell? Definitely a person that I would look into the Raiders probably drafting. But one thing I do want to talk about, right? Since you mentioned Max Mitchell, the Raiders, in other news, right? Not in acquisitions, but in others, the Raiders met with versatile offensive lineman Jamari Slater. Now, Jamari Slater has versatility in the sense that he played left tackle, right? He played left tackle in college, but right now how it's looking for him is that he's most likely going to have to play guard in the NFL. So for Jamari Slater to play guard, I definitely think that he can give John Simpson a run for his money. Now, the Raiders did meet with him today, so it's not something like an informal visit. We actually did meet with Jamari Slayer. Now, he is projected to go anywhere between the third or fourth round. So, very, very interested to see that, right? Improving the trenches. Maybe their idea is to improve the trenches through the draft, right? They want to get these proven, skilled guys in free agency and really get the trenches through the draft. And I'm a fan of that, right? I'm a fan of that because usually you can get a starter on the offensive line or defensive line in the fourth to sixth round. So I'm with that. I'm with that 110%. And I'm excited that, we're not just hanging up our boots on trying to pick up offensive linemen. So very, very interesting to see with that. Jamari Slater did have a meeting with the Raiders today. Pretty damn excited about that. Now we have Maribel in here says that Nick Mullins had a 2,000 passing yard season for a backup starting. That's a big pickup for Carr. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. 2,000 yards in 1 year for a backup. That's good, right? Because it shows that the team that he was with, I believe it was the Niners that year, had enough confidence for him to actually sling the rock, right? And we know that with the 49ers, they don't really pass the ball a lot. So for him to have over 2,000 yards is very, very impressive, right? He's not a guy that's going to be your starter, but like I said, when it comes to these backups, you want a guy that, if need be, he can go out and he could play for sure. Shane Morris says 1 million guaranteed and can make up to 2.5. I'm assuming with incentives, right? Now, I'm with that. I'm with that. X says we've been giving out a lot of 1 year deals. I mean, one thing to look at, you guys, is that with this new coaching staff, they don't really want to go all in year one with a bunch of players because they don't want to really be tied up, right? They kind of want to go day by day, week to week, year by year. So I'm not too mad at this. I really want to see what we do in terms of, guys that are already on the roster, right? You traded for Rocky Sin. He's on the last year of his deal. I would definitely prioritize maybe getting an extension done with Brock Yassin. A couple other guys are on their last years, right? You have Hunter Renfro. I would love for an extension to get done there. I know and understand that the Derek Carr one is more just like a matter of time at this point. But another thing, on Twitter today, it was reported that the Raiders were actually interested in exercising Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option. Now, as we know, Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option is in the $8 million range. He's in the $8 million range. And shout out to EC. The way that he put it the other day was, you can exercise the fifth-year option, then give him an extension so that the average of his deal isn't $8 million. You can bring it down closer to around 6.5 and 7. So if the Raiders would like to do that, I'd be for it. But I really wouldn't want Jacobs getting the $8 million a year range, because then that kind of resets the market in a sense for running backs, and I wouldn't really want that. But I would definitely be interested in exercising the fifth-year option, then giving him an extension. Another thing to realize is that Josh Jacobs is only 24 years old. He's only 24 years old going into his fourth season in the NFL. So that's very, very big in my opinion, because the youth is definitely on his side for that. Let's see. I keep getting this feeling that somebody will risk getting ejected from a game this year just to try and hurt our wide receivers or Waller. I doubt it. The truth, I really doubt it. I don't think so. Graham Cam says Andy putting in work with this Raider shit. Keep going, homeboy. Hey, you already know, man. Y'all always showing love. I gotta show love back. Simple as that, man. Simple as that. What's up, Andy? Do you think we're going to see Mullen play in the preseason? 100%, 100%, without a doubt. Let's see. Got to love those 1 year deals when we have like 80 million in cap for next season. Exactly, exactly. No reason to tie yourself down to so many guys when you have this huge amount of money for your next year's cap, right? And you have to understand, right? Before we went into this offseason, it was projected to be over $100 million next year. But with Max Crosby's extension, with Devontae Adams getting a new deal, the money kind of started to go down. And we're yet to extend Rocky Sin. We're yet to extend Derek Carr. We're yet to extend a couple of those other guys. So very, very interested to see that. And yes, Sancho, Hankins is back with the Las Vegas Raiders. We did re-sign our own. So shout out to Sancho for bringing that up again. We already talked about it, but I'm ready to talk about it again. Let's see. I can see McDaniels getting a UDFA QBs this draft to use as currency like in New England. That's very, very smart. That's very, very smart in my opinion. I think that, whenever you can get a quarterback that you can maybe develop into a point where teams can see some value in, I mean, why not? Especially if you're getting them undrafted and kind of developing them and putting a value under their name in terms of draft capital. I mean, it's just smart. It's just smart to do that. 24, but has some miles. 100%, Lou. He has a ton of miles. We've used him as our number one back for many years. Now, if Jacobs has a fantastic year this season, which is probably going to happen, although I do think that Kenyon Drake may have a bigger year than what a lot of people are expecting. What I will say when it comes to Jacobs is that I definitely feel like a fair number for him to be extended is $6.5 to $7 million a year. Now, I don't want to put him up there, like the deal that the Cowboys gave Ezekiel Elliott was absolutely insane, right? Like, I don't want that to be anywhere near that. I really don't want the contract to be anywhere near $8 million. Now, I do understand that the 5th-year option for Josh Jacobs, if you are to exercise it, is over $8 million. But how EC said it was perfect, right? You can pick up the 5th-year option, and what you can do is then extend him off the 5th year, take the average pay down, and it's essentially $8 million in 1 year, but not really when you're really looking at the technicalities of the cap. So very, very interesting to see that we may be possibly interested in exercising that 5th-year option for Josh Jacobs. Shout out to Bill. He says, Andy, is our interior D line clean? McCoy, Hankins, Nichols are good. One thing to look at, and I did put Gerald McCoy in the thumbnail because I did want to talk about it. Gerald McCoy is not back on the roster. And I think that he might have a strong chance to be back on this team. But in terms of Gerald McCoy, if he can come back, if he could pass his physical, if he can get a contract done, I would be all for it. But what I really do think we're waiting for, Bill, is for after the draft when we get those $20 million and possibly get a DC or Hunter Renfro extension done. When we have over 20 mil to work with again, I think that's when we'll see us possibly go after a guy like Calais Campbell or possibly go after a guy like Ndamukong Suh, maybe even a Stephon Gilmore or Tyrann Mathieu. But as of right now, I don't really see us going out and picking up too many other guys because at the moment, we're probably close to around $2 million in cap space. And we do have to set aside a small amount of money for the draft. A small amount of money for the draft. It's not that much since we did trade away our 1st and 2nd round pick. We don't have to set aside too much money this year. So that's also a plus in trading away your top 2 picks. You don't have to pay them a top 2 1st round, 2nd round contract. So that's another thing as well. Hankins might ball out this year. I mean, it depends on what's your definition for balling out for a nose tackle. I would definitely expect probably over 10 tackles for loss at the end of the season. Maybe closer to around 12, I'd say 20 run stops. I definitely think that he could be a vital piece to what the Raiders want to do for sure. But at the same time, although he does have familiarity with Patrick Graham, when him and Patrick Graham were working together, Patrick Graham wasn't the leader of the defense that he was with. He was a positional coach, right? So he didn't really have too much say in the schematics, but he was around there teaching the scheme and teaching technique and all that kind of stuff. But this will be new for Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan Hankins has never played in a 3-4 system. Even when he was in Indianapolis, when he was in New York, and all these years, we know that he's been with the Raiders. We've never ran a 3-4 scheme, but I'm definitely happy that we brought back Hankins, man. It's a big, big, big thing in my opinion. I was just talking about this yesterday, how much I felt like nose tackle was missing for the Raiders, right? And Hankins is not on the same level as Eddie Goldman. He's not at the same level of Linval Joseph. But I know for a fact that Hankins, if he's playing every single game, you have a guy that's going to do his job week in and week out. And at the end of the day, that's all we can ask for, right? We can't get spoiled and be asking for stars at every position. So there's that to look at as well. Let's see. Give me JJ for $5 million a year or let him walk. That's around the range that you'd want to bring him in on. But with him being a Pro Bowler, with him having certain accolades already on his resume, he may demand a little bit more than that. I would love to get him on that deal, but I think a more fair offer would be probably 5 to 7 $5 to $7 million. But I would definitely do that. I would definitely do that. Is Bailey if Bailey Zapp is available in the 6th round, would you take him? People saying he's a sleeper. The thing is, Ben Pay, Bailey Zapp, if he is there in the 6th round, for one, he must have had to have failed certain tests or certain physicals or whatever. Two, if he's there, we wouldn't be able to get him because we don't have a 6th round pick. We don't have a 6th round pick, so you would then have to try and trade up. And I don't know what you would want to trade up into getting a backup quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see. He's gonna hold it down. Jones and Crosby's gonna fuck it up. Hey, that's all we can ask for, right? That's all we can ask for. Have a guy that can play his role and be a valid piece to this defense. Marivel says Mullins actually had 2 seasons with 2,000 yards passing, and he only played 10 games and in those seasons. That's good enough for car haters to rant about replacing Carr for Mullins. Nah, man. Definitely the fact that you don't have a guy of Mariota's caliber backing up Derek Carr, that should all slow down. But it's funny though. It is funny. Um, let's see. Josh has been very productive when he is on the field. He is very productive, but when and if that's the only part that's kind of tough for me. It's good to keep players like Hankins in the locker room. Too many players would take longer to adjust. I agree. I definitely agree, and I actually said that not too long ago, Ruben. I didn't want all these guys to leave, right? I didn't want all these guys that Phylon, Quentin Jefferson, Solomon Thomas, right? Phylon is still a free agent, right? But Solomon Thomas and Quentin Jefferson already got signed, so I was like, damn, I don't want all these guys to leave, right? Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Solomon Thomas, I was like, he's good for the locker room. He can come in, he can still play a role. But yes, to bring back Jonathan Hankins, a guy that's actually a starter as well, I can't complain. I cannot complain. And if you tell me this, let me ask you guys this, right? Goal line defense. Goal line defense. When you got all your big boys on the line of scrimmage, it's going to be very, very hard to be able to run in between the guards when you have Jonathan Hankins and Kyle Pecco just penetrating that offensive line there. So that goal line defense will be very, very stout this season. I feel like goal line defense. I feel like those 31s, those 4th and 1s. When you put out an extra big boy on the field, an extra true run stopper on the field, it'll be very, very, very interesting to see how many more stops we finish the season with because of that, right? At the end of the day, you don't want your nose tackles to always be getting sacks. Like, you don't want your nose tackles to be getting sacks, essentially. You want them to penetrate, pause. You want those guys to push that offensive lineman back. You want them to drive them into the play, into the running back's lap. So it will be hard if you put Kyle Pecco and Jonathan Hankins together, playing with each other on the goal line. That'll be tough to run on, man. Yeah, that was a pause, but I said pause. I said pause. My guy Mario, he says, Andy, yo, I like this Nick Mullen move. He's good under pressure and can take hits and still ball. I didn't say that. I'd be lying if I said that. But You're very true. You're very true. Like that's a true statement. That is a true statement right there. Nick Mullins has played many games. Like he has started over 16 games in the NFL. He has won. I don't know how many he's won, but he has over 4,000 passing yards. He has over 25 touchdowns passed, and this is a backup. This is a backup, right? So very interesting to see that we were able to bring him in. With the whole situation that's going on in Cleveland, I'm sure that he just wanted to get out. But he was with Cleveland, he was with Philly, and with the Niners. So he has some history in the NFL for sure. Let's see. Goes to the post. Shout out to my guy. He says we used up Jacobs early, but he can still do work, especially with this new offense. I think you meant to say. But yes, for sure. For sure. When you have Jacobs that'll potentially be healthy for the entirety of the entire season this year, it'll be very big for Josh Jacobs, right? Josh Jacobs is a guy that he's been forced into a lot of touches, right? But when you see now you bring in Brandon Bolden, you already have Kenyon Drake, and you have Josh Jacobs. You also have Amir Abdullah that can play that running back role, that can play that scat back role, that pass catching role for a running back. There's going to be a lot more times than Jacobs will be out there at full wind, full stamina, right? He won't be tired as much. He won't be as beat up because Brandon Bolden can run between the tackles. Kenyon Drake can get those catches out the backfield. So, very interesting. What I will say is that I feel like Josh Jacobs' touchdown numbers will go up. And I think that his yards numbers will be lower than what he's usually averaging, but I definitely feel like his touchdowns will go up. And ultimately, I'm taking touchdowns over yards, right? I mean, I think we all are. I think we all are for sure. Shout out to Ghost to the Post, man. He says, "Do you think the new fullback from New England will help Jacobs?" 100%, Ghost. 100%. It hurts and it pains me to say this, but the numbers don't lie. The stats don't lie. New England Patriots fullback Jacob Johnson was a better overall protector. He was a better overall run blocker, better overall pass blocker than Alec Ingold. But what Alec Ingold possessed was, he could line up and run a route, right? He could do all those things that fullbacks don't really do. So it caused another aspect of the game that the defense had to prepare for. But if we're talking about blocking and creating lanes for Josh Jacobs, Jacob Johnson will do that 100%. And I always say this, man. Each time Jacob Johnson comes up in any one of these lives, that man blocks like he hates you, and it'll show when he's 20 years older. When he's 20 years older, that man has CTE, bro. That boy blocks with his whole might. It is pretty insane how ruthless and how nasty he is. He's a true nose. I mean, he's a true fullback. Shout out to Antoine. He says Brian Edwards gonna have a breakout season. He kind of has to, right? He kind of has to. These teams got to worry about Renfro, Waller, Devontae, Josh, Kenyon Drake before they're worrying about him, right? So he kind of has to. He kind of has to, in my opinion. Definitely something to look at. But if he can't get it done with all these stars around him, and he can't win his one-on-one matchups, it'll be concerning at that point, Antoine, for sure. It'll be concerning. Maribel says, Andy, Jermaine Illuminor is a better tackle than Parker, but that doesn't mean he's good. In fact, he's actually ass. We need to move up for a tackle. Damn. All right. Shit. Um, I'm gonna have to give you a little bit pushback on that because he started many games for New England before he came to the Raiders at tackle, and he wasn't ass. He was not ass. He was a very serviceable right tackle, Jermaine Illuminor. So, if Jermaine Illuminor was the guy that we had to start week one, I wouldn't necessarily be ecstatic, but at the same time, I wouldn't be like worried. I think that he'd get it done. He's obviously not the elite tackle that many of us would like, but at the same time, it's kind of tough to fill in certain shoes of certain players that we've had before play that tackle position, right? So Yeah, but like I said, when we had just 100 of you guys in here, for those of you guys who do not know, talking about the offensive line, the Raiders have met today with offensive lineman Jamari Slater. Slayer. He played primarily left tackle in college, but he is more suited in the NFL level to play guard. So it's either going to be left guard or right guard in the NFL. As we all know, John Simpson going into his fourth year, he may not be cutting it. He may not be doing it enough, right? So we'll see. We'll definitely see when it comes down to that. But the Raiders meeting with offensive line talent. Isn't that something, man? Isn't that something? Definitely interested in that. Now, if they think that he's a third or fourth round talent, maybe we're going offensive line with our first pick in the draft. Wouldn't be the most attractive pick to most, but at the same time, if it protects Derek Carr, I'm for it. I'm for it. Um, it sucks that you're going to lose the playoffs. We're not losing in the playoffs, man. If we get in, we winning. We winning. Are you starting Illuminor against the Chargers in the playoff game? No. I mean, if there's no other choice, then you have to start Illuminor. But if in in a perfect world, right? I got freaking Donald Penn from 2016 over there, or he wasn't our right tackle. Donald Penn wasn't our right tackle. Our right tackle was somebody else. But in a perfect world, we have an all-pro right tackle, right? But we don't. So Illuminor will have to do. He'll have to do. We're gonna use Josh Jacobs like Cincinnati used Joe Mixon. I don't know if Josh Jacobs really has that skill set. Joe Mixon is a little bit faster, in my opinion. He has better hands. He's better pass catcher. I think that Josh Jacobs is ultimately a better pure rusher than Joe Mixon. But if you're saying that they'll play a similar role, maybe, but I really just don't think so. I really just don't think so. Um, we need our new Lincoln Kennedy at right tackle. Facts. Osamelli was not our right tackle. He was a guard for the Raiders. Let's see. Khaled Barnes. Well, what about him? What about him? A Chiefs fan joined the chat. Well, shows that they got nothing else to do in terms of their in terms of their channels. But it is what it is. Let's see. Jacobs caught 54 passes last year. Good. Good. We need him to develop those hands because we had some crucial moments where it would have definitely helped if he would have caught certain passes. Some of them was for big yards, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Khalif Barnes was a right tackle, was or he is a right tackle. What do you think of Denzel Good at right tackle? I liked him when he filled in. Yes. The problem is that when you look at a guy that plugs in for a few games, your sample size is a lot smaller to evaluate. But did I like the film that he put up there? Absolutely. He looked comfortable. He looked good. Overall, though, Denzel Good's frame is more suited to play guard, right? Now, if you don't draft an offensive lineman in the draft and you don't draft a guy that you believe can start, I think that Denzel Good should play left guard. Now, another thing I have to mention is when it comes down to drafting these guys, is is drafting an offensive lineman putting us in the best position to win? In my opinion, I don't know, right? Because you're putting these guys that have never played in the NFL before, and you're kind of hoping. At least I know with Jermaine Illuminor and I know with Denzel Good what I have. So we'll definitely have to see what happens on that aspect. But like I said to who was it that I was talking to about it? In a perfect world, man, we're Mighty Vale. In a perfect world, we're having a much better offensive line out there, but it really doesn't matter. Shout out to Chester. He says Daryl Williams. That'll be very, very, very good. If the Raiders can go out and pick him up. Now, something that I feel like is kind of misconstrued when it comes to Daryl Williams is the position he plays. And the reason why I think that that's kind of messed up is because he is always willing to play guard, right guard, if someone goes down, and he looks good when he's playing right guard. But when he is playing offensive tackle, he doesn't look great, but he looks He looks above average when he's playing that. So I would love to bring in Darrell Williams. I believe he's only 30 years old, and as we all know, when it comes down to that right tackle position, we definitely need some help. We definitely need some help. And when it comes down to the age factor, we know that these offensive linemen, they get better with age. They get better with age. So we'll see. I would definitely love to bring in Darrell Williams, Chester, and he's a right tackle. So we'll see. And let's see. Don't tell me what to do, Raiders fan. You're a fucking disgust. What, Trina? You like the Chiefs, man. So bye. Bye. You ain't better come in no Reddit chat talking about nobody's discussing this, that, and third. Homie, did you look at yourself when you came in and said that? Come on now. Come on now. Reddit's all day. You could watch, but you ain't talking in here. You could watch for sure. Let's see. Keep an eye on Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. Man, fuck them. But yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. Real talk, what do you think about the draft? I think that the draft is a place where you should address talent, not need. Talent. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. That's how I feel about the draft. Shout out to Ruben. He says, which young player on the defense makes the biggest jump this year? Very good question. Very, very good question. Now, Ruben, I'm gonna give you two answers. I'm gonna give you two answers. Okay. I'm gonna give you two answers here, Ruben. One of them is gonna be a newly acquired player, and the other one is going to be someone that was already on the roster. Now, the person I think will excel the most, that'll excel the most, God damn it, Michael and Christian, you fuck, man, you took it out of my mouth. Pause. Oh my God, super pause. Um, yes, I think that Malcolm Kuntz will take the biggest jump. I think that Malcolm Kuntz will take the biggest jump out of all the guys that are already on this roster. Now, when it comes to taking the biggest jump overall on this defense, I think it'll actually be Bilal Nichols, right? Bilal Nichols is coming um, into another system where he's kind of spoiled on the guys that he has on the outside. And I think with Bilal, with Bilal Nichols only being 25 years old and having Chandler Jones, Max Crosby on that edge, it'll be very, very, very good for him to have some success. So we'll see. We'll see. But I gave you two answers on that one. Shout out to Ruben for always showing love. We got X, he's X Red Nation. He says, is that offensive tackle from the Titans still available? Most definitely. He is still available, and I believe you're talking about David Questenberry, a guy that I really like. I like him. But what I will say though, when it comes to David Questenberry possibly being acquired by the Raiders, is he looked good, and it's kind of the same scenario with Denzel Good. He looked good. He played a good amount of football this year. He played, I believe, over 10 games, and in those 10 games, he was ranked as a top 10 run blocker. Now, after or before that chance, before that, he never really had a chance. So would I bring in Questenberry? I would. I like him. But I would really like to see Questenberry battle it out with maybe Jermaine Illuminor and possibly a young kid in the draft. That's what I really want. That's what I really want. But yes, to answer your question, he is still available. He is still available. Kansas got weird people. I'm not gonna put that label all on Kansas people, but that dude was definitely a weirdo for sure. For sure was a weirdo. Um, God damn, I have to pop my ears, man. Fuck. Let's see. Game recognizes game, homie. Let's see. That's why I watch your channel. You get it. Appreciate you, Michael. For real, for showing love to the channel, man. Um, Great defensive and rotation with Jones, Crosby, Kuntz, and Farrell. So, Farrell. When you're looking at Kuntz, right? You also have to add Kyler Fackrell on that list as well, because he's a little sneaky guy that we picked up. Now, when you're looking at right, Kyler Fackrell can play the outside linebacker position. Cleveland Farrell can play the defensive end, right? Now, what I will say is, I feel like we need to add another defensive end. I feel like we need to add another defensive end, whether it's bringing in Adamakin Sue because he could play that, whether it's Calais Campbell, but I definitely feel like we need to bring in another edge because you have Kuntz, you have Fracro, and you have Klee. That is good. That is good rotation. That is good rotation. But at the end of the day, shit happens in the league. Shit happens, right? It only takes one freaky game and your depth is depleted. Your depth is depleted. So I would like to add another vet, whether, like I said, whether it's Sue or whether it's Calais Campbell. I want to add, I really, really want to add another guy. But I'm definitely happy with where we're at. I'm content with where we're at, but we can definitely still get better. We could definitely still get better. Daryl Williams will be 30 when the season starts. Yeah, we were just talking about that. I'm not worried about that at all. He's coming off of another great season, or not great, but another productive season with Buffalo. And I think that Questenberry, he kind of gets the short end of the stick over there in Buffalo because they ask him to that he's the guy that they asked to play guard when one of their guys goes down. So he's stuck playing out of position, but he still plays really pretty well when he plays out of position. So I would love to bring in Daryl Williams. I do understand that he'll be 30 when the season starts, but when it comes to these offensive linemen, man, as long as they keep their bodies in good shape, they could play for a long time past their 30s, 5 years, 6 years. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. What the fuck is good? Raider Andy, what up, kid? Let me get a man. Look, I need everybody in here to do it, man. I need everybody in here to do it, man, because y'all didn't got through another week of work. Okay, y'all got 2 days to relax. So everybody in this bitch, man. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Raiders! We need it. We need it, man. We need it. Let's see. If a player isn't a huge improvement over what we already have, I can see Ziegler pulling the trigger. Daniels wants to see what he's working with. 100%, man. 100%. Sue, so he could pimp slap Kermit Mahomes. Hey, I would love somebody to pimp slap that man. I would love it, bro. 110%. Brad, yes, sir. Big Mario Campbell knows more the AFC opponents. We need that knowledge and strength all day. For sure. For sure. Was good. Kenny was popping. Philly Sports Talk was good. Good. Yeah, everybody in here with the Raiders. I love it. I love it. Yes, sir. Yeah. What's popping, man? Shout out to everybody. What do you think of Shanjeet's franchise mode? I was just saying this the other day, bro. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. It is absolutely amazing. He says, "Did you bring everyone a Philly cheese?" Facts. Philly Sports Talk, man. If you are coming into the chat, you need to give and offer everybody in this motherfucker a Philly cheesesteak from your home. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's just how we rock. That's just how we rock in this motherfucker. Would you make a move for Andre Dillard? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't personally. There's nothing against him, but I just no. I just nah, nah, nah. That's just my answer. Nah. Can we add Will Smith to the team to slap Kansas City? Man, that dude Will Smith can't just be going around slapping everything, man. So simple as that. Simple. He can't just be doing that. But listen, we have talked about the two acquisitions of the day. We also have mentioned about the offensive lineman that we met with today, Jamari Slayer. So the Raiders did meet with Jamari Slayer. That's important. I like that right there. Another thing to look at though when we're doing these, we met with a defensive lineman. I believe it was 2 days ago. Yes, so we met with a defensive lineman, and I kind of want you guys, Andy, Madden 22 Xbox, you down, bro? I deleted that shit, bro. That game pissed me off. I can't even do it. But let me tell you this: the Raiders have scheduled a top 30 visit with Minnesota defensive line Esezi Otemewo. 6'6", 290 pounds, recorded 81 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 13.5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in 34 career games. Otamewo likely projects as best a 3-4 rotational 5-tech defensive end and is currently projected as a 5th-round pick. I'm with that, man. I'm with that. At the end of the day, where we are standing as the Las Vegas Raiders in the 3rd to 7th rounds, not only do we have to look at best player available, but we also have to look at a guy that has the biggest upside. We had to look at the guys that have the biggest upside. And the reason why I want to look at the guys that have the biggest upside is because personally, I feel like the Raiders coaching staff that we have built with Graham, what's his name, Rob Ryan, all them boys, Chris Ash, Jason Simmons, all these guys. I really feel like we are now a team that can actually maximize these players' growth. I actually feel like this is a team that can maximize and reach players' ceilings and potential. That's what I really think. So not only should we be going into this draft looking at best player on the board, but we should also be going into this draft looking at, okay, this guy right here, can we reach his ceiling? Can this coaching staff get to this guy's talent level where he is getting every single inch of talent and out there on the field? I would really, really like to know if we should be doing that, man. And I think that we should. I think that we should. Shout out to Eric. He says, Fa'alele, Kobe Bryant, and Darian Beavers are there at 86. Who would you take? Kobe Bryant, no, just because of how much depth we've already added at the corner position. Darian Beavers and Daniel Fa'alele is kind of the two for me. Um, I would probably go. I'd probably go Daniel Fa'alele, and the reason why is because I feel like there's more linebackers in this draft that you can go out and get. So I mean, getting a guy that's standing at 6'8", 380 pounds. I understand, and I'm very critical of his play, but with his lateral quickness being a problem, with his speed being a problem, things that aren't a problem for him is weight, strength, you know, essentially the mold that you'd want in an offensive lineman. So you already have the tough part there. But I would go with Lele if you're saying that Darian Beavers and Kobe Bryant are there. Definitely, definitely would do that. Honey Badgers knows he could bitch slap Mahomes. Oh my God! What about Clee Raider Way? What's up with that? What's up with that? Mount USC, but it would be hard to pass up on Kobe Bryant. Nah, oh Mount Oos. I thought USC was like some school or some shit. Nah, I wouldn't bring in Kobe Bryant due to the fact that we've had it so much depth. Jesse, Jesse, my brother. Yo, shout out to Jesse, man. We were in the chat the other day talking about the price tag for Tyrann Mathieu. And I had forgot if I had said higher or lower on $13 million. And you know, he got the receipts, man. He got the receipts. He got the receipts. Shout out to Jesse, man. He definitely caught my ass slipping, man. Appreciate you, man. Do you think Henry Ruggs will ever play again? No. No. Um, Tony says free agency was hella fun. As of right now, we have the most weapons, hands down. All we need now is can McDaniels drive Carr to the promised land? I think he can, man. I think we can. Because, I definitely don't think that free agency was fun. I think that it is fun because we're not done. Because we're not done. We're not. I don't think we're near done, in my opinion. I really don't. I really don't. Um, the Raiders will pick up Van Noy after June 1st. I would love that, Chester. I would love that right there. Um, Chit can bring him in to block field goals. Who is Chit? Hunter will get 729 yards and 8 TDs. That's not bad right there. It's a good little stat line. It's a good little stat line. Klee coached up. I definitely think that Klee could really, really excel in this system here. For sure. For sure. This system absolutely suits Cleveland Furrow the best. I think that if there's anybody on this roster that would excel or have the highest probability of reaching their potential would be Cleveland Furrow under this new scheme. I know a lot of us is giving up on him, but bro, like this just absolutely works. And it's like if you look at how Cleveland Furrow plays, man, this system just fits him. It just fits him. So I mean, if you're ever gonna get a productive season out of Cleveland Furrow, it would be this year. It would be this year. Clee can be the perfect 3-4 defense, and I think so. Goody good. Let's see. I think we will fill more gaps post June as we will have much more cap space. Agreed. Agreed for sure. Agreed. Let's see. Campbell and Honey Badger after the car extension. Easier said than done, but damn, that would be phenomenal right there. That would be phenomenal for sure. Let's see. You like Clee? That's what's up right away. Who has a better year, Clee or Kuntz? Kuntz, for sure. For sure, in my opinion. Kuntz will have a better year in terms of like numbers. But I think that Cleveland will have a better year in terms of play, overall play, run stops, tackles, all that kind of stuff. But I think that Kuntz will have a better year on paper. And I'm fine with that. I think that you kind of have to get Kuntz going at this point because even though only his second year, you have Chandler Jones here for 3 seasons, and I think that you absolutely should be trying to maximize Chandler Jones and Kuntz as a unit. And the reason why I say that is because Malcolm Kuntz can be absolutely picking the brains of Chandler Jones day in and day out. Day in and day out. Day in and day out. So I mean, I think that at the end of the day, I know we drafted Kuntz as a man, this dog right here. I know we drafted Kuntz to be more of a defensive end, but honestly, I feel like with Kuntz being able to stand up in instead of having to put his hand in the dirt, I think will ultimately help him for sure. For sure. Carr can drive himself to the playoffs. Lamau, he just showed us this season with no head coach. The only problem was that Gruden's complicated playbook for everyone else. I don't think that the promised land easy was the playoffs. I think he meant the promised land is in the Super Bowl. So yeah, Andy, if we would extend Carr, and with the post June, will that put us at 30 plus million in cap space? Listen, I think a lot of people have kind of got the numbers confused when it comes to extensions. Let me tell you this. When people say that the Raiders can make $20 million off of extending Derek Carr, when we say the word can, you really have to listen to that word because it's possible that you can make $20 million off of extending Derek Carr, but it's not a guarantee. And the reason why is because when you're extending a guy, you can convert their base salary for that year into a signing bonus. So if you convert it into a signing bonus, you get all that cap space for that season. But the only thing is that now you're paying the extension in full. What we saw happen with Max Crosby was instead of saving $4 million by extending Max Crosby, what we did is that we actually gave Max Crosby more money so that his average overall after goes down. But if you feel like you are in a pressing situation and a dire need for cap, you can say, listen, Derek Carr, I'm going to extend you and I'm going to convert your $19.8 million salary into a roster bonus. So then you get all that money up front and your cap hit is zero. It's zero for this season. But all the money from your extension, it's at that money, it's at that average. So there's no bringing it down unless you do more guarantees in the future. So when we're talking about saving money, you can save money, but it's all up to the ownership. It's all up to Mark Davis. How much money does he want to give Derek Carr up front in order to save that money towards the cap? So we saw him give out already over $30 million in guarantees with these contracts. We saw him give Colton Miller $11.8 million in guarantees this offseason to free up $11 million. So you can save $20 million with Derek Carr, yes. But the key word there is can. You're not going to save that money. You can. If you felt like you were in a dire need to make moves and get cap space, you can make that money. But I just don't know that we'll fully guarantee I just don't think that we'll fully guarantee his deal this season. I think that we'll make more like $10 million. I think that that's how much we'll save with doing that. Shout out to DC Forever. He says, all I could think about is that Derek Carr might not have to work so hard or struggle so much or take all the blame. I think McD holds them accountable for sure. For sure. 110%. 110%. Like, when you have a quarterback that went to the playoffs, like I said, like many of you guys mentioned, with no with no head coach, practically with no weapons, with a horrible defense, you know, you have a good player, and you really just need accountability on the roster. You need guys that are going to come in and day out and work. Does DC need to be a part of those guys? Absolutely. DC is far from fucking perfect. He can work on a whole lot of shit. But at the end of the day, having Derek Carr here it's a plus. It's a plus. You got to look at it in that aspect. You have to. And shout out to you again, my guy. Love DC forever. That's an interesting name right there, my man. He says, got it. So do you think Davis is cashing out Carr? I don't know. I don't know if he'll cash out DC, bro. I don't know if he'll cash out DC. If he says DC, I'll give you 19.8 right now, then guess what? He gives DC 19.8 right now, and we save a lot of money. But I just don't see that happening because he already gave out over $30 million in guarantees in the offseason. That's a lot of guaranteed money to pull out your ass and pull out your pocket, bro. I don't give a shit if you're the owner of a NFL franchise. That's a lot of money, bro. It's a lot. I think Mark cashing him out at 15, well deserved. I think that it'll be more like 10. I think that'll be more like 10. Right away, adjustments. Yes, we will be seeing a lot of those on both sides of the ball. On both sides of the ball. Man, check out the hat, man. Fire. Let's sign former Ravens safety Deshaun Elliott, only 24. He's a good safety. He's a damn good safety, 100%. I really like Deshaun Elliott. My thing is that with Deshaun Elliott, he's more of a free safety. He also kind of has that concern with tackling, right? But you guys know how high I was on Justin Reed before he went to the Chiefs. Justin Reed and him kind of play the same game. I think that Justin Reed, the reason why he got signed is because Justin Reed kind of has that knack to make a big play. But I like Deshaun Elliott a lot though. I really, really, really like that a lot. And ultimately, Jesse, I would love that acquisition right there. I would love that acquisition because if you ever need Merrick to come down and play in the slot, Deshaun can play that post. So there's a lot of versatility there. There's a lot of versatility there. I would love to bring in Deshaun Elliott, but for the right price, of course. For the right price, of course. Sponsors, bro. What you mean, Vic? What you mean? What about sponsors? Um, Shout out to Pharaoh. He says, what's good, Andy? And salute to the chat. Shout out to my guy Pharaoh in the chat, man. Go check out my brother's page. Go check out my brother's page. Simple as that. Pharaoh NFL. Check him out. He says, one of those ballers will come out and be like, I'll drop as long as we have the squad. Wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. Maybe. Mark Davis needs to hit the crap tables. Nah. He need to stick. He need to continue doing what he was doing, man, because we've been having a phenomenal offseason so far, man. Man, are we going to make one more big splash in free agency? I mean, if we do, we're probably just going to become some spoiled ass franchise. Like, we're gonna be some spoiled ass fans, and I understand. I mean, with all the shit that we went through, we deserve to be spoiled. I'm not gonna lie, but at the end of the day, though, I'm just not too sure if we'll make one more big move, depending on what you guys think is a big move. In my opinion, Ndamukong Suh or Calais Campbell is a big move. I think a huge move would be Tyrann Mathieu or Stephon Gilmore. But I think that in my eyes, big moves are guys that can start. That's a big move. So essentially, with what we did today, it was a pretty big move. That's why I'm bringing you this live, right? Because we brought back a starter. Jonathan Hankins is a starter. Now, if we want game changers, then that's a different story, right? But I'm happy with where we're at for sure. I definitely think that we just need to add another name or two, and we be chilling. Like, I'm for sure. Um, Sponsors could pay out the guaranteed money just like in soccer. Thing is, though, is that in soccer the clubs have more control, right? Like, a lot of this with the NFL being like ran all by the owners, all the owners have to agree with what they're doing in terms of a sponsor, I'm assuming. So we'll see. We'll see. It's not like a fucking club in soccer, they could just put whatever they want going around the stadium. So it's a little bit different. Um let's see, strong safety 32 Raiders. Okay, that Tyrann Mathieu number, huh? Nelson was good with you, my brother. Thought on Steven Nelson. Could you cornerback that used to play for the Steelers? I think he could come in and help. I think there's a couple corners that can still come in and help. I think Jimmy Smith is a guy that can come in and help. I think that Callahan can come in and help. I think a lot of guys can come in and help. And listen, now that god damn, bro, I love you guys. We still got over 270 you guys in the building. Please, if you're new, man, and you like Reddit content, hit that subscribe button, man. We are, god, man, we are close to 5 fucking thousand subscribers. So if you're new, hit that sub button, join the family. Don't let this be your last, man, because we are putting out a lot of content, man. So please, if you're new, hit that sub button, man. Really, really appreciate it. Let's see. I have a good feeling we get Bubba Bolden in the late rounds. Would love him in the silver and black. What's crazy is that last night before I deleted Madden because of how pissed I was getting, I actually did a mock draft on Madden. Like, I downloaded a little roster or whatever, and then I drafted Bubba Bolden. I would love Bubba Bolden for sure. 5K before draft day, most definitely, Dream. Most definitely, we got to get that done. We got to get that done for sure. I thought Mark Davis had a Fiat 500, and I don't know what he is doing, but yeah. Dream third round pick. Dream third round pick. Okay, so I'm gonna still make it a little bit realistic. My dream third round pick has always been one player. Has always been one player, and that was John Mechie. And that was before we went out and we got Devontae Adams. That was my third round pick that I always wanted us to draft before we traded away our first and second round pick. And I'm gonna stick with that. I really, really, really like John Mechie, man. He's probably the best run blocking receiver in the draft. And with his injury, I really don't think it's far fetched to say that he won't be there. But I think it is far fetched to say that Abraham Lucas will be there. I don't understand. Listen, Abraham Lucas is a name that I've known for weeks, months at this time. I don't understand why this name is just now coming up now, but Abraham Lucas will not be there in the third round. He is a first 2 round lock. He, dude, I say this every single show. Abraham Lucas is the most technically refined offensive lineman in this draft. He has the best technique. His technique is flawless. There is no way that Abraham Lucas makes it out the second round. No way at all. His negatives is the shit that he can't control, like his height. He can't control that shit. And his arm length. He can't control that. He was born with that. And those just don't really suit as the average, the normal offensive tackle in the NFL. But he is the best technical offensive lineman in this entire draft. He won't be there. He will not be there. So I think that it's a long shot to say a guy like Abraham Lucas, but I would love it. Like that would be a dream. Yes, that would be a dream for sure. Because once I'm done dreaming, reality to hit me when I wake up in the morning, I'll be like, damn, he's not there. He's not there. So it's like, I wouldn't really sell myself on that one too much. Now, if you want an offensive tackle that you can get in the third, fourth round, I'd look at either Max Mitchell. Kellen Dice put up a great combine, but really, I really like the interior guys in this draft. I really like the interior offensive linemen in this draft. So if you want to build up that inside of the trenches, you could really do that this draft. I'm just not really that high on the tackles outside of the top, 7 or 8, and Abraham Lucas is one of them. I'm just not really too high on them. I know that there's other names like Max Mitchell's and Obina Eze, but it's just like, uh, you know, Luke. I don't know who the hell that is. I'm not even gonna lie, Ludi. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I wouldn't even do that. Cade Mays is not a tackle, and funny enough, it's funny that you mentioned that because you know, I since day one I never used the PFF mock draft simulator, and that's a big reason why. They have the draft board incorrect. It's off by like 2 picks. On top of that, bro, they have certain players listed at positions that they are not playing. Cade Mays is not a tackle, and PFF has Cade Mays listed as a tackle. He's not an offensive tackle. He is a guard. He's a guard that has played in Georgia's system, and he's a guard that has played in Tennessee's system. I don't like PFF's simulator system. I think that it's completely out of whack. To say that you can get Perion Winfrey in the third round is fucking ridiculous. Verone McKinley, one of my favorite players, is like a fifth round player on their draft board. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Verone McKinley, if he's there in the third, I like Verone McKinley a lot. I like Verone McKinley a lot. My dream fourth round pick would be Nick Cross out of Maryland. That's what I think. Daniel says PFF is terrible for the draft and the draft overview. I agree. Yes, I know he's a guard. No, I wasn't saying anything about you, GC. It was funny that you mentioned that because I was just about to get ready to shit all over PFF, and then you mentioned another one of their mistakes. So, yeah. What about the big ass Australian? Who's the big ass Australian? I can't fucking stand Parker. Yeah, Brandon Parker's a head scratcher, to say the least. He's no, I don't like him at all, Marzel. I don't like him at all. What's funny is that his name is French, right? His name is Nicholas Smalldad. That's what his name is. That's what his name is. Nicholas Smalldad. If you do a direct translation to his name, Nicholas Smalldad. That's his name, Marzel. That's funny. Daniel Falele. I mean, look, if he's there, you scoop him up. Why not? It is what it is at that point. Don't trip, y'all. We got Parker playing right tackle. That's not much of a confidence booster. That's not much of a confidence booster at all. He says, I would say we're set at DT this year. I would definitely like to add one more. One more for sure. If not, add a defensive end that has the versatility to play defensive tackle, like Ndamukong Suh or Calais Campbell. Simple as that. Hypothetically, if Ruggs were to get released and was able to play football again, would you take him back? Remember, hypothetically, he's never going to play again, and I know that. Would I take him back? No. No. And I know it's a mistake, but no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I just kind of think that it'd be unfair to the family that lost a life. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. No. I wouldn't do it. Andy, you think Parker can slide into guard, if Leatherwood can pull off right tackle, I think that at that point you have a better scenario at that point, right? So with Josh McDaniels saying that he'd allow Alex Leatherwood to revisit and kind of get another shot at the right tackle position, which is what he was alluding to. Um, but with okay, let's say that happens, right? Let's say that they really really like what Parker is doing at tackle in camp, and they think that he could be the starter. If he is now the starter at right tackle, you then have a better situation at hand, because what you can do is that you can let Illuminor battle it out with Denzel Good for the right guard position, and the winner of that can get the guard position, and the loser can battle it out with John Simpson and battle for the left guard position. So you would have a lot more competition at that point than just Brandon Parker and Jermaine Illuminor. So I mean, if that would happen, that'd be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. But I'm just not too sure if that would happen. Um, I think that at the end of the day, with how he finished it off, saying that they really just want to put the best guys forward, best five guys forward, I think that Alex Leatherwood's best game immediately is at the guard position. That's what I think. That's what I think. Um, but yeah, start Carsten at right tackle. He says, I'm comfortable with the new staff bringing in linemen in the late rounds, but Jesus, we need a defensive tackle. I agree, Will. I definitely agree with you. 110%. But listen, you guys, we still have over 200 of you guys in the building right now. Shout out to you guys. But we've been on for over an hour. We've been on for over an hour. I love and appreciate everybody that pulled up tonight. I will most definitely be back tomorrow, probably around 5:30, 5:45 West Coast time. So I believe that's 7:30 for those of you guys in the Central, and 8:30 out there in the East Coast. So I will definitely hook up and link up with you guys tomorrow. Please pull in whether there's news or not. We know we going live regardless. We going live regardless. And then Sunday, you guys will be able to see me and Wasted break down our newly acquired Bilal Nichols. We will break down his film on air here on the channel. So shout out to everybody who pulled up tonight. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. On your way out, if you could do me a favor and hit that like or hit that subscribe if you're new, it'd be greatly appreciated. As always, love y'all, Red Nation. Stay safe, stay blessed.